It's over. It's all over.
The much hyped, much anticipated return of Iron Mike Tyson is in serious jeopardy. Roy Jones Jr. has threatened to call the fight off. It might be over before it ever gets started. The 8-round exhibition bout between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. was originally scheduled for September 12th. However, last week, the app Triller, which is hosting the $49 pay-per-view event, announced that the fight will be pushed back to November 28th, which happens to be Thanksgiving weekend. The reasoning for this is that they wanted the extra time to market the fight, which is probably not a bad idea. While Mike Tyson's training footage has gone viral, I'm not too sure how many people knew about his fight against Roy Jones Jr., which would have been less than a month away. In fact, just last weekend, I was over at a friend's house watching the UFC heavyweight trilogy fight between Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, and there were several casual fight fans there, none of which knew about this Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. fight. And this is a type of fight, the type of spectacle, that should be attracting these casual fight fans. The November 28th date will really capitalize on the Thanksgiving holiday weekend as well. Wouldn't that be a treat? Not only would you get to enjoy spending time with family, you get to see Mike Tyson finally fight again after 15 years. And this isn't some washed up, broken down Mike Tyson. Judging by the viral training footage and just looking at his physique, he's really captured a lot of his prime back. With that said, this isn't supposed to be a hardcore fight with a knockout being the end goal. Andy Foster, executive director of the California State Athletic Commission, who are sanctioning the fight, said, "There will be no judges scoring the fight, and so no winner, unless there's a knockout. However, this is absolutely not the plan. It's an exhibition. They can exhibit their boxing skills, they're going to spar hard, but they shouldn't be going for a knockout. The public can see what kind of shape Roy and Mike are still in." Well, I think a lot of people are curious to see if it ends up becoming like the exhibition between Apollo Creed and Drago in Rocky IV.
What are you guys doing? This is supposed to be an exhibition! You understand? An exhibition!
Contenders into the first round.
That's of course if it even happens at all, as Roy Jones Jr. has threatened to pull out of this fight. He's unhappy that it was postponed, but in general, really wants more money and has a good case for it.
I'm negotiating. Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
He said he would walk away from the exhibition match altogether if he isn't compensated for the impact the delay will have on his business. He is now consulting with his lawyers over the sudden switch in dates. Roy says that, "Why would I change the date and mess up the rest of my year when I agreed to September 12th? They said they wanted to get a crowd. If you want to get a crowd, that's a different type of money. If you want a big event, that's a different type of money." So I can't help but wonder if maybe this is all a marketing ploy. A story like this definitely has people talking about the fight. It'll also have people put it on their radar who may not have otherwise known. Add to that, whether this is legitimate or not, and from Roy Jones Jr.'s perspective, his concerns certainly are. I'm not sure how much negotiating power he'd have though.
Well, it's really very funny because you know what we got here? Really just have a terrible misunderstanding. You see, when I passed on the deal...
If the fight is delayed until Thanksgiving, they could always find a new opponent for Mike Tyson, and let's be honest, Mike Tyson's a draw.
We'll do it for the 13,000. 13,000, and I never came up here, we never talked, it's too late now.
We haven't seen him since that loss against Kevin McBride in 2005, a fight he had when his passion was clearly gone and he was a shadow of his former fight self.
Let me just say this. $10,000, all right? And now I'm going below what you wanted to pay.
But the whole talk about the fight being canceled will have another effect as well. People tend to want what they can't have even more, so just the threat of this whole Mike Tyson comeback being called off will just make people even more eager to want to see it. That should translate into more pay-per-view dollars when and if it does happen.
$8,000.
Anyway, let me know in the comments section if you think delaying this bout until Thanksgiving makes sense, and do you intend to shell out the $49 to see it?